destruction of the American immigration system, and I can prove it point by point. I'm unafraid to speak the truth. This is just data-driven and experience-driven.
Government has only two ways of getting money other than raising taxes. It can go into the money market and borrow, competing with its own citizens and driving up interest rates, which it has done, or it can print money, and it's done that. Both methods are inflationary. We're victims of language. The very word inflation leads us to think of it as just high prices. And then, of course, we resent the person who puts on the price tags, forgetting that he or she is also a victim of inflation. Inflation is not just high prices. It's a reduction in the value of our money. When the money supply is increased, but the goods and services available for buying are not, we have too much money chasing too few goods. Wars are usually accompanied by inflation. Everyone is working or fighting, but production is of weapons and munitions, not things we can buy and use. Now, one way out would be to raise taxes so that government need not borrow or print money. But in all these years of government growth, we've reached, indeed surpassed, the limit of our people's tolerance or ability to bear an increase in the tax burden. Prior to World War II, taxes were such that on the average we only had to work just a little over 1 month each year to pay our total federal, state, and local tax bill. Today, we have to work 4 months to pay that bill. Some say shift the tax burden to business and industry, but business doesn't pay taxes. Oh, don't get the wrong idea. Business is being taxed so much so that we're being priced out of the world market. But business must pass its costs of operations, and that includes taxes, on to the customer in the price of the product. Only people pay taxes, all the taxes. Government just uses business in a kind of sneaky way to help collect the taxes.
Gotta love that, man. Welcome to Truth with J.J. Carrell. Why did I show that? Because this Donald Trump is the new Ronald Reagan, but even more bold, more brash, and more aggressive. But Ronald Reagan is absolutely correct, and I showed him because I want to show the contrast today. The contrast of people that think like us versus the left, who I also label as evil. They steal everything. They destroy everything. They do not build anything of value. What they do want and desire is either killing babies, mutilating children, sending our money overseas, endless wars, profit, 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 and pornography. You don't have to like the facts, but you have to acknowledge what I'm saying is true. They are the party of death and destruction, and thus they are evil. It is shocking to see what Donald Trump has done. What are we going on, 36 hours? Excuse me, almost 72 hours? Barely. We're barely over 48 hours. What am I talking about? What he is able to accomplish thus far is Herculean. And I listened to Ronald Reagan speak, and then I listened to Donald Trump. That was from Reagan was in the late 80s. We're in 2025. And my bigger question is, where in the hell are all the Republican men? Are you telling me that we've had no one to be able to step up and be our leader between these two men? And the answer is no, because I have done it. I have gone through and looked. Who else has charisma? Who else can speak the truth? And ultimately, who else has the brass tacks to do the job that has to be done? Paul Ryan? Mitch McConnell? Romney? John McCain, who's a liar? I don't care what he did in the war. I applaud you, and you have my respect. You don't get a mulligan for the rest of your sorry-ass life. He was for the border fence, build the damn wall, to nothing, to voting on amnesty. He's pathetic. I don't care if he's dead. He's still pathetic. The truth is the truth. Who else? Who else did I see sitting in the front row of the inauguration? Oh, John Boehner. 3 sheets to the wind, John Boehner. 3 sheets in the wind, and I need a handkerchief for all the tears I like to cry constantly. McCarthy, the last Speaker of the House, prior to this next beta male, Johnson? We had nobody. We have nobody now. What makes me very anxious is that statement that we have no one now outside of Donald Trump is factually 100% true. And if I know that, the left knows it. And if the left knows it, and they have to do something about it, the head of the snake is right out there for you to take him out. Who's going to take his place? J.D. Vance? I like J.D. Vance. I'm not particularly sold on him, I'll be very honest, but seems like a great man, great young man. Is he ready to lead this nation through the chaos and violence and resetting the societal and cultural norms that Donald Trump is ready for? You really believe that? You believe he's going to be able to carry that baton when Donald Trump falls? God, please, God, don't let that happen. Let's be honest. This is not a knock on J.D. Vance, because there is no one in America right now, no one that has the courage, the experience, the knowledge, the charisma, or the ability to do what needs to be done except one man. One man, that's it. I wrote a Substack article yesterday called One Man. Because he's the only one that can do it. And if you disagree with me and you hate Trump, or you don't like how he memes and texts and all that, fine. Tell me someone that could do what he's doing. Come on, I'm daring you. I'm challenging you. Write it in. Call me. Email me. Tell me. Who could do this besides Donald Trump? No one. No one can, and you know it. You know it as well as I do. Isn't it amazing how one man can change the whole course of history? Just one man. For years, I struggled with this. Well, when we were going through the Romneys and McCains and looking at Barack Obama, we don't even know if that's his name. We don't even know where the hell he was born. I mean, let's just all be honest. No one knows. When we're going through that was a dark time in the Border Patrol, and dark time. That was my career, so it became dark for me professionally, not personally with my son being born, and my wife and I have become parents. But in that setting of America and the border in my career, those were dark times. And I struggled with, one man can't change this. One man can't. It has to be a group of us. And I kept pushing back on one man. And I've been proven wrong. 100%. One man can't make not just a significant difference, but he could change the whole course of history. And that is what's driving the left, or making them fearful more than anything, is one man is changing the face of history. One man. He removed DEI. Today he took down the Lyndon Johnson executive order on affirmative action. He's stripping away all the evil from America. He's taking a power washer and just scrubbing the United States, America down. It's stripping America naked. Here's someone else But as you watch Margaret Thatcher, again, I come back to the question, and this goes for you Brits as well. Who do you have that matches her talent, her charisma, her intellect, her ability to get things done? Who? Boris Johnson? He doesn't even know how to brush his hair. He looks like a little gnome troll. Tony Blair? Could you get anybody less masculine outside of Trudeau maybe to come in and be your prime minister? Let's listen to Margaret Thatcher, another giant in a world of intellectual midgets.
When the state does everything for you, it'll soon take everything
Hey,
from you.
Logan,
You will
can
then
I?
have no basis for personal freedom, political freedom, nor economic freedom. The state must never substitute for personal responsibility. I know that we will only get to the kind of country, the kind of prosperity, the kind of standards which I wish to see if everyone says, it's my job to do my best. It's my job to try to lend a hand to others, and not to say, oh, I'm not going to do that, that's for the state. What sort of society do you think we'd have if you had people saying that? It's the state's job to find a job. It's the state's job to house me. It's the state's job to look after my family. Once you go, freedom is inseparable from personal responsibility. You know, there's a famous quote from George Bernard Shaw, if I can remember it. Freedom incurs responsibility. That's why many men fear it.
That is an amazing quote. That's why many men fear it. They fear freedom. Look around. How many people just like to be told what to do? In my job as a Border Patrol agent, as a manager and a supervisor, a senior leader, I had guys that just were task takers. The great agents, the great workers, the great law enforcement guys, same thing in business, in any faction of life. You don't have to tell them what to do. You just say, hey, this is what you're getting paid to do. You need to do it. Go do it. And they just take off. They love the freedom. Those are rare. So I surrounded myself with those men. I hated being a micromanager. I wanted to say, hey, here's what has to get done. Here's your resources, manpower. I trust you. Go. And you know what that did to that very small percentage? Man, that empowered those men. They just took off and soared like an eagle. I'm talking guys with 3 years on the job, running area of operation sites and dominating in their work, versus a guy that's been in 17 years. He wants me to grab his hand and walk him through what he's supposed to do for the day. Freedom is something desired by everyone, but instinctively, it makes us fearful. You have to be conditioned through a culture that wants freedom, where people are successful. Look around and tell me, do we live in that society today with our gigantic government? Here's another man way ahead of his time, beyond decades ahead of his time, Ron Paul. Let's listen to him.
I think this is not a consequence of free markets. What's happening is there's transfer of wealth from the poor and the middle class to the wealthy. This comes about because of a monetary system that we have. When you inflate a currency or destroy a currency, the middle class gets wiped out. So the people who get to use the money first, which is created by the Federal Reserve System, benefit. So the money gravitates to the banks and to Wall Street. So that's why you have more billionaires than ever before. Today, this country is in the middle of a recession for a lot of people. Michigan knows about it. Poor people know about it. The middle class knows about it. Wall Street doesn't know about it. Washington, D.C. doesn't know about it, but it's because of the monetary system and the excessive spending. As long as we live beyond our means, we are destined to live beneath our means, and we have lived beyond our means, because we are financing a foreign policy that is so extravagant and beyond what we can control, as well as the spending here at home, and we're depending on the creation of money out of thin air, which is nothing more than debasement of the currency. It's counterfeit, and it is a natural, predictable consequence that you're going to have people benefit from it and other people suffer. So if you want a healthy economy, you have to study monetary theory and figure out why it is that we're suffering. And everybody doesn't suffer equally, or this wouldn't be so bad. It's always the poor people, those on retired incomes, that suffer the most. But the politicians and those who get to use the money first, like the military-industrial complex, they make a lot of money and they benefit from it.
That's absolute truth. What is that, 25 years ago? Sitting here trying to do the math. I think it's over at least 2 decades old. He's talking about today. President Reagan was talking about today. Margaret Thatcher was talking about today. Nothing has changed. The only thing that got thrown into the soup is Donald Trump. And now everything's being upended. How far can he get? I don't know. I know that I will not bet against him. Absolutely not. His job is Herculean. He has to have an army of supporters behind him ready to fight. Me, you, Brandon House, everyone that's on our side has to be ready to fight in some way or another. It could be you need to do a podcast. You need to write a book. You need to do documentaries. Or, hey, you know what? Me and my friends, we are the greatest bakers in the world. So this Saturday or this Sunday, we're going to go to a local park and we're just going to bake our little buns off, and we are going to have a spread of the best food you could ever imagine. Everyone's welcome, and we're going to have some local bands come, and we're going to put American flags, and we're going to talk about how great America is. You don't think that's possible? You don't think that has impact? It absolutely has impact. It absolutely has value. Everyone needs to figure out what they're great at or good at and do it to promote America and our founding documents. Or we can go back to what we were the last 4 years. And just because it's less than 72 hours, I want to remind you of who the commander-in-chief and the leader of the free world was: Joe Biden.
And then all of the domestic infrastructure spending you're doing. Harvard economics professor Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary, a very well-regarded economist around the world, is out there arguing these policies are risky. This risks inflation, significant risk of inflation. He warned against inflation very loudly. He also then predicted, when you overruled that particular piece of advice, he then predicted that we would be in a recession eventually, which has not happened. But
hey, Logan, I'm going to switch right to the purple.
How do you, in the presidential position of having to make these decisions, when you're hearing prestigious economists like him and other voices out there, and possibly people within the administration, giving you counter advice to the direction you want to go, how do you then decide to make that decision to go ahead?
Two things. One, look, I looked at the practical need for us to instill some confidence in the American people that we can grow this economy. And one of the biggest pieces of that was invest in America. Everybody thought, and I thought Barack was a great president. I was his vice president. We went through some, but remember the argument, well, I thought we didn't do enough. I thought we didn't invest enough because we were doing the old basic old economics from the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Is that guy even real? Is that gosh, caught myself. Gosh, is that man? Who is that man? Can you believe we went for 4 years of listening to that dumbass? For 4 years? That moron? That is what is waiting if Donald Trump does not win, meaning that is what is waiting for America if we do not back him. Oh, you want to know? You want another 4 years of that? Or let me just sprinkle this little purple powder dust on the beautiful cake of Biden. And this is what is waiting for us if we do not dominate and eradicate our nation of these mental patients. And I'll start with Miss Rosa, Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro. I think she's from Connecticut or someplace in Mars or Jupiter. I haven't figured out if she just travels back and forth or is she trying to set a colony up in Mars. Go ahead and show this absolute nut job.
They got scared because President Musk told them, President Musk said, don't do it. Don't do it. Shut the government down. Imagine. What does he know?
What does he know? He knows that you are a grandma with purple hair and ridiculous clothes, and you have so much jewelry on that it's clanking around like you got the old Middle Ages handcuffs on. You stupid, gosh. Can you believe that's what's running our government? You believe that that intellectual giant, that businessman, that leader, Donald Trump, has to go and listen to that? Can you imagine spending 5 seconds listen to that woman just prattle on? Oh, I wouldn't get past her stupid glasses and your stupid hair. I think I would just raise my hand and say, ma'am, do you know your hair's purple? I don't know if you know that. You're so old, I think somebody has done something to your hair that you didn't know about. You listen to Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, and Rand Paul, and then you listen to that bag of bones and skin, that idiot Biden, and you tell me that you don't think you need to diversify your money as inflation is dominating, absolutely dominating everything in our nation. You go to Swiss America Precious Metals, Swiss America Precious Metals. I use them. You need to use them. You text or call Wes Peters. Wes Peters is not going to sell you bricks of gold and tell you that you need to get rid of everything. He's just going to figure out with you what he thinks the best strategy is. That's it. No upsales. You're not supersizing your fries. You're not doing anything. You're just making a very clear decision on how you're going to protect your money and your assets. Swiss America Precious Metals. Call 800-254-5904. 5904. And why it's important to use our sponsors, because this is what pays the bills. We do not get grants from the federal government. This is the alternative media, which I like to say is the new media. This is personal. You get to hear what I believe straight to you. It doesn't get filtered through sponsors, TV shows, producers, exec producers, the key grips, and the lighting guy. This is just me. I got Logan in the production room, and we just go. This is what I believe. This is what I absolutely, through research, experience, and Donald Trump said as he spread his arms, common sense. He just didn't say like those idiots behind me sitting there. They have no common sense, and they're ugly, they're grotesque. Swiss America Precious Metals, and the next sponsor that I want to talk to you about is Pet Club 24/7. My immune system's shot. I was on an interview today, and we were talking about the remdesivir that I had to take 3 times, that how I should have died, and my immune system is absolutely shot. My hands are dry from the Kansas blizzards, so I use this product. And this mushroom from Japan that has been patented and brought to America is put into all of these products in the balm. It's all natural. In my pill form that I take, capsule form, not a pill, capsule. My dog gets it because it's your pets, your horses and humans. My pet, Cinnamon. Can't believe my son named my dog after a stripper. Cinnamon gets it through her treats, her mojos. I love my little Cinnamon. I want to kill her a lot, but I love her. Love her. And I'm not even a dog person. I just love her. Pet Club 24/7. Go to truthwithjj247.com, truthwithjj247.com. What a big day it was and night for Sarah Maccabee and her husband Colton. Why? Because Colton got out of jail after about 36 months. For what? Oh, for helping a police officer and a woman that ultimately died on January 6th. How do we know that's all a lie? January 6th? Well, because every one of those bastards got a pardon. For what? What was the pardon for? No one knows. What was the crime committed? We all know it, but will you lay it out on paper? Of course not. Sarah Maccabee, we did a vault. I don't know if you know this, Logan. Part of that vault and part of our another interview I had with Sarah has gone like mega viral on Instagram and one other place, TikTok, I think. I could be wrong, or X is gone viral. If you want to see an interview about January 6th, not from the perspective of the media, but from the perspective of a spouse that has lived it, it's never the story that's so powerful, is it? Even if it's a great story, like January 6th, it's a great story. I mean, it's intrigue, corruption, but it's the story behind the story that's the most impactful. It's listen to Sarah talk about her husband and talk about the challenges leading up to this day, that she has him home now, in a home that did not exist before he went to jail. So he's going to a random home. Their lives are completely changed. The financial structure of their world has fallen apart. And yet there they are in a new world, sans the old friends and family that betrayed them. And they're alone. It's them. Sarah sent me a text last night, and she just said, it's a miracle. I have my husband back. We need to pray for her, all the families, and their loved ones that come back, because you do not sit in jail for 3 years and come back the same man. You do not sit and fight and fight and fight for your husband for 3 years and remain the same woman. You don't. You change. So they're going to have an adjustment, as everyone's going to have adjustment. I thought about being Colton. Simple thing. Just think of this on a simple level. You have been being fed for 3 years what someone, they don't get a menu. Colton, what would you like today? Some filet mignon, or would you like to have some pork chops? What kind of sides you want? You get to choose 2. Here's 12 items, but you get to choose 2. He gets out of there. And maybe it had to be around 1, 2 in the morning. Are you hungry? Do you want to get something to eat? Let's go to Waffle House, or let's go. Do you want to just go to 7-Eleven and get something? Can you imagine going to 7-Eleven and walking around and no one's yelling at you to hurry up? No one's telling you, come on, choose something. I only have $5 on my commissary card. It's a big transition. It's a big transition because of the hands of traitors, absolute traitors. Go to worldviewtube.com/JJ to join the vault. We have a clip Logan's pulled up of Sarah Maccabee. Just watch this, please.
I don't know if I have very strong faith. I never deny God exists. I know it absolutely for sure. But there have been times, stretches in my life, especially in law enforcement, where I'm just like, I'm not talking to you. This is everything that you've created is evil and it's abomination, knowing that he didn't create the evil.
Yeah.
But I'm living it.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it every day, the worst of the worst of the worst all the time. So my fear is that if I end up in jail, my soul would go black because I'd be so enraged with anger and resentment and having no recourse for it. Has your husband gone through that? Or has he gone through that and increased his faith? Or what has increased his faith? Because I find this to be fascinating to understand from a law enforcement perspective.
You know, when you literally hit rock bottom and you have no one around you, right? He had me, he had my family, but there were times we didn't know where he was for a week at a time, and he was literally living in a box. When I tell you he was living in a box, he was in solitary confinement with nothing but a metal bed, a sheet, no pillow. His food would come through a flap that they would give him. He wasn't even allowed out. He didn't have a window. He didn't know what time it was. And the only other thing he had in there other than a toilet was a Bible. And so what do you do at that point? You can sit with yourself in your head and let your mind run 1,000,000 miles an hour in the wrong direction. Or are you mentally strong enough to rein yourself in and to really buckle down and say, all right, Lord, I have absolutely no idea what you're doing here. None. I can see what you've done in my past and how you've saved me from different things that have happened previously, but I truly do not understand what's going on, and I don't even know what the future looks like. And I think that's what he did. He just completely submitted to the Lord and said, listen, whatever your will is, I will do. You know, he was humble enough to be that faithful servant in the darkest times of his life. And I think, you know, that's one thing that he has always said. He was one of 9 on the case. They lumped these guys together. He was the only one that took it to trial in front of a jury. And he got the most time out of all of the other individuals because he utilized his constitutional rights and took it to trial. But one of the things that he had said was that he has told us, and I absolutely believe, and I said this before he had even confirmed it, he would have done what he did on January 6th all over again tomorrow, knowing what he has gone through, not knowing what the next few weeks are going to hold, what the next few years are going to hold, but because he is the type of person, he not only stands in faith, but he is so convicted in who he is as an individual. That's why he was such a good law enforcement officer. He has that spirit of giving and wanting to give back to the community, that he would do it all over again tomorrow because he was doing the right thing. And he, you know.
Great interview. Go to worldviewtube.com/JJ to watch. Just 2 hours, 45 minutes. Another interview that we have, it's going to drop on Thursday, his interview with Ann Vandersteel. I could talk to Ann forever. Intelligent, determined, beautiful, passionate, bold, mother, a wife. I love the interviews that we're putting together and we're putting in the vault. I love it. I love the catalog of interesting people that we're putting in the vault. This is how you get information. This is how the new world is getting their information. I do not watch Fox News. I do not watch any of those programs. I watch podcasts and long-form interviews. If I want to know what the hell's going on in Ukraine, I'm going to listen to retired Colonel McGregor. I want to know what's going on the border. I'm going to call one of my buddies. Hey, come on, talk about the border. What's going on? This is where you get your information. Logan's pulled up a very quick clip of Ann Vandersteel from our long-form interview that comes out on Thursday.
At the very base of it all, we stand on the law of the land, which is our Constitution, for the United States, not the one they've created.
How do we get back there? How do we get back to that? Yeah.
We have to understand we have to understand who we are and what we are supposed to be and not what they have created. When you can separate yourself from the corporation and create yourself as a woman on the land or a man on the land versus a person in the corporation. I have taken myself out of the United States corporation, and I have corrected my status back to that of a woman living on the land, not in a U.S. jurisdiction. When we actually do that and we tell them no more, and we can prove the fraud day in and day out they've done, from bank fraud, money fraud, mortgage fraud, COVID fraud, war fraud, tax fraud, all the fraud that they do, when we can clearly define all that, and people are, believe it or not, that's all it takes. It is literally understanding the fact that they stole our sovereign country and our personal sovereignty, and we made us part of a corporation. When you classify yourself as a U.S. citizen, you are a person that is working in the corporation of the United States, and you have a tax ID number, which represents you're part of their system. You have opted in. I have removed myself and taken myself out, and I have nullified all of my contracts, birth certificates, social security cards, driver's licenses. All these things are contracts opting into their system. Remember, we were electing public servants as Americans from your state of, I was from New Jersey originally. Then we became U.S. citizens, voting in what we now know to be as our debt slave masters, because they keep writing checks that nobody can cash. So this is the difference in where we are today versus where we should be. So I think it's just an education process.
Go to worldviewtube.com/JJ if you want to listen to people of high intellect, the ability to articulate exactly what's going on in current events. You have to listen. You have to go and join the vault. My next one, I believe, after we drop Ann Vandersteel on Thursday. Tomorrow's Thursday. Holy smokes. On Thursday, we drop Ann Vandersteel's interview. And then we're going to do a interview with Todd Bensman. And I'm very excited about that, talking about this border issue and everything that Donald Trump is bringing new to this horrible invasion and horrible treason. You know what else is horrible? Having Donald Trump and his family, J.D. Vance and his wife, go to church and listen to a grotesque blasphemer of a bishop, Episcopal Church bishop. Boy, have they just hit rock bottom. I'm Catholic. We need to execute a vast majority of our priests for what they've done, and bishops and cardinals, which they have done to our flock. But the Episcopal Church, dear Lord, have mercy on my soul. This is your representation. Listen to this lady talk about gay, lesbian, transgender, and the illegal aliens in church in front of Donald Trump. But I want you to focus on his family and Donald Trump's face when she starts to talk down to him. The disgust that they had. He had more restraint than me, because I would have stood up and I would have motioned to my family, it's time to leave. And I would have walked out. In fact, I wish he would have done that. Watch this.
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land. May God grant us the strength and courage to honor the dignity of every human being, to speak the truth to one another in love, and walk humbly with each other and our God for the good of all people in this nation and the world. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Who in the hell allowed the president to go and have to listen to that mental patient? She accused the president of being a bigot, a homophobe, an anti-legal immigrant. Did you see his face? Can you imagine that powerful man, that man of substance, of success, had to listen to that thing? I get passionate about this because I can't stand the sanctimonious preachers. Look at that face. Does that face look like somebody that Donald Trump needs to be talked down to or tacked down from? That person? Why are they all so ugly? Why are they all so ugly? Because their whole soul is rotted to the core. Logan, can you go back and show me a still photo of that Trump family, if you could? Now, look at that family. You know what I see? And look at JD's wife. I see beautiful people, healthy people, gorgeous people. Look at their skin. This is what I've been focusing on more than anything, is the right versus the left skin. Their skin is healthy. Go back to the bishop, please. Does that look healthy to you? Does that look healthy to you? And the answer is no, it doesn't. And why do they all look like that? Why do they all look gray and washed out? Because their souls are dark. I have another picture. Can you show me that other picture? Yep, there you go. There you go. Could you imagine going to church on Sunday and that mental patient is the person that's teaching you about the teachings of God? What in God's name are you wearing? With those stupid hats. And I'm talking to my Catholic faith too. With your stupid hats you wear, you cardinals and bishops, you are the Pharisees of today. Look at you. Jesus Christ came back, he would mock you. He would say, all my disciples, look at what you should never look like in my name. Never. You would think that I have this up there because it's Wednesday and it's Libs of TikTok. I swear to you, you have to believe that I put that up because it's Libs of TikTok. No. But before I get to Libs of TikTok, I want to show you something that I have been debating. Do I want to show this? Do I really want to show this? Because it even made me, the evil white American man that is from the patriarchy and law enforcement, and my father's law enforcement, and I was raised in the South. Even for me, I almost couldn't watch this. But I said, this embodies all the evil. This embodies everything in about a 20-second video. It shows you the insanity we've been living in the last 4 years and the evil that has dominated our society. Play this, Logan, please. It's going to make you uncomfortable. I don't care. Watch it. Transgender surgery on a young woman that obviously has severe medical issues, physically, and I would say mentally. Who did that? Since we're talking about evil and stupidity and grotesque sin in the world, let me show you, let's keep going down memory lane and show you what we have left and we're trying to eradicate. Let's start with this guy, Lieutenant Colonel Bree. Bree, doesn't sound like a man's name. Oh, because it's not, it's a female. Lieutenant Colonel Bree Farm? Is her name Farm? Who even cares? Fram, who cares? This is what's in our world today. You tell me we're not in a battle of good versus evil. Watch this clown.
All too often, I hear leaders talk about providing everyone with dignity and respect like it's an aspirational goal. That's not good enough. Dignity and respect is the bare minimum. It's the floor of where we can be. We must set our sights higher and focus on intentional inclusivity, because there are still far too many people out there, not just LGBTQ individuals, that feel marginalized, shut out, or discriminated against. So for all of you out there, I ask you to set out your symbols of pride, share your pronouns in your email, particularly if you're a person who doesn't think they need to. Initiate difficult conversations about racial and gender barriers, and share a bit of your vulnerability in a way that draws others in. You all have the power to take intentionally inclusive actions to ensure the multiple perspectives that we know make us stronger as we devise winning warfighting strategies get heard.
Warfighting strategies. Welcome to Libs of TikTok Wednesday with me. I love Libs of TikTok, but they get me wound up. Could you imagine? That's Lieutenant Colonel. Do you know how many people are under him that have to go up there and ask that thing, that stupid man with a mental disease that thinks that he's a woman? He looks like Colonel Klinger from MASH. Nobody even makes a connection. They're gone. 15,000 of those maniacs are in our military. Let me say that again very slowly so we understand the number. There are 15,000 transgender mental patients in our military. We have to speak in terms of good versus evil. Our nation has so far gone down that rabbit hole of evil left that it's going to take a master to drive us out of that morass and that moral cesspool into just normalcy. I'm not even talking about success. I'm talking about straight up normalcy. Getting back to the understanding that, hey, dude, men cannot have babies. They can't. This next clip is from Liz of TikTok, obviously. And it is a stark reminder, if your children are in any kind of public school, you need to get them the hell out. And it's a reminder of me as I spend thousands of dollars so my son doesn't go in front of mental patients that I have to actually be on my toes, making sure this crap coming into my school, and they have any one-on-one time with my son. I don't want any of these sexually deviant, perverse people around me ever. You don't like what I'm saying? Click me, get me off. Don't watch me. But if you think LGBTQ XYZ with the power sign divided by insanity, if you think I'm going to placate you and try to get all nice and civil, no. Those people have ruined our country. Less than 2% of our population has changed our Christian way of life and society. I'm pissed, yes, because I have to have discussions with my son about these mental patients that my father never did. We are going down a perverse, sexually perverse world that has no place in our society. None. Quote me on that, especially if I ever go in front of Congress. Quote me on it. Men should not be wearing dresses and teaching our children. People like this that I'm going to show you should never teach our children. Go ahead, Logan.
Guys, I messed up. So I had a kid on Monday. They said their pronouns were she, her. Then on Wednesday, yesterday, they came to me and they said, you know what? My pronouns are they, them. I want you in the class to use they, them. Okay, cool, great. They come to class today. There's names on desks in groups for assigned seats. They can't find theirs because I guess my first class knocked it off. So I go to the class. Hey, is she in anyone's group? Does anyone see her name? It took me 5 minutes to realize that I did. So
all I can think of, my little dude that's now becoming a young man being taught anything by that creature. Lives at TikTok Wednesday, making me lose my mind. Let's watch this guy talk about the war that we're in. And let me preface this with saying, sir, I hope when we go to war that you're the first person I see.
Hello, my name is Scarlett Kelly, and I am officially declaring war on the Republican Party. If you are a Republican on TikTok and you want to interact with me, you deserve to die. You deserve to be shot. You deserve whatever suffering could possibly come to you. If you are a Republican and try to start any of that kind of nonsense with me in person, you will lose your life. This is war. I am not joking. It's done. You are not an American anymore. You're out. You're off the list. You've been naughty. Like, come on. We're going to start giving you the coal in the form of massive stones on top of a slab of wood on top of you. Have a wonderful day.
I want all you alpha males to remember that face, that ugly, disgusting face, and her name, Charlotte. Charlotte's a dude. Charlotte is a dude. All the men that I have in my life that are my friends and brother-in-laws, Charlotte, Scarlett, whatever you call yourself, bro, when you see me and my dudes, we're just going to roll right on top of you. We won't spend a bullet. It will just be fist and knock you out, and then we'll throw you into a pile of trash heap and we'll just keep going. There are less of you than us. We are the majority. You are the mental patients. And we've had it with people like you. Logan, can you just play about 20 seconds of this? Because I want the world to see what our youth what's happened to our youth. Because this is important. But just play about 20, 30 seconds of this, would you? This next one lives at TikTok.
Hey guys, everything feels really out of control and scary, and I'm really anxious. Elon Musk, like, did a Nazi salute for some reason. That's so scary. And like, Donald Trump's the president, and that's so scary. And like, he basically admitted to voter fraud, but we're all just kind of glossing over that. Also, if you look up, this is random, if you look up right now in the search bar on TikTok, the Taylor Swift song, The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived.
Thanks for cutting that off because I couldn't take it anymore. Quoting Taylor Swift to prove a point other than your sophomoric in your ability to think, that's it. I don't want to hear. God. All right. I need to brighten the day. And that's because I need to become Chuck Woolery just for a few minutes. Lives a TikTok Wednesday is a love connection. I only have 3 minutes and I have to make this quick. Logan, please tell me there's some single men in that studio today in the production part. Is there? There's one. What is his name? Who is it today? Van. Oh, Van. Van, pay attention. I have two people that I really want to introduce you to. It's going to be hard. I'm just going to tell you. It's going to be hard. But I need you to have an open mind. Kissing somebody and feeling facial hair is, don't you dare be a bigot. Don't you dare be closed-minded. Logan, show this beautiful woman. Just, she's beautiful. Facial hair and all, she's beautiful. Van, pay attention, please.
No one's going to marry you, Haranam. Like, you have a beard. No one's going to date you, Haranam. You have a beard. No one's going to be your boyfriend, Haranam. You have a beard. You are not a preference to a lot of men. And then I'll get like really feminine men message me, but that's not who I'm attracted to, Hannah. I like really masculine men because I am very soft. I'm so different to what you see like on TV, you know, on TV.
I've never seen you on TV.
I mean, but no, generally you'll see, oh, she's strong, she's, you know, what she's talking about is very powerful, whatever people say. But then at home, I'm very quiet, you know, I'm very feminine, I'm very soft. People don't get to see that side of me, you know. But no,
you can
it
cut
has
this
been
off.
difficult.
We're on time. Van, the good thing is you are a masculine man. I've met you. I know you. Don't make a choice yet. Don't. I got something might be a little better, different, but better. Go ahead and play this, Logan, and we'll ask Van who he wants to choose. Go ahead. Love connection.
Okay, white people.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I'm white. You're white. We need to shut up and listen to people of color. However they're grieving, whatever they're going through, we don't know what they're doing, so we need to shut up and listen. That's not the nicest way to ask, but that's okay. That's part of the point. It's time for us to check our privilege and not expect everyone to be nice to us all the time. It's time to just shut up and listen.
Van, I got 15 seconds, baby. I need you to make a decision right now. Who is it going to be? You want a little facial hair? The second one looks like she shaves pretty good. Little overweight. He said he'll go with a clean face. America's back. The love connection has been made.